There was games this week starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the way up till today. We're going to get into the weeknight game recaps, starting with the Tuesday night game. Liberty wins another one in overtime, beating FIU. And we've talked about some of those other schools, the group of 5 schools that can be front runners to get to that college football playoff. Liberty's undefeated, and they look good doing it, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those teams outside of the Mountain West that can still challenge to get in there. Yeah. We've said as long as they stay perfect, they have a chance, and they survived last night doing it in overtime. I'm just checking the box score because I didn't really see that game. I mean, looks like Florida International kind of moved the ball really well in the passing game and then used their running game to score. They had like 30 carries for 99 yards and 3 touchdowns. So it was all that like short yard, 2-3 yards a carry for all those guys. They had a bunch of different guys run the ball there. And it was kind of surprising because Caden Salter is one of those guys that this year I was like, that's that dude.
Yeah.
They're not really passing the ball all that much. Like, even this game was 9 of 16 for 125 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But, I mean, part of it is the Liberty rushing attack with Quentin Cooley has been insane. 29 carries, 174 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Salter got another 2 touchdowns on 60 yards. So, it's kind of nice he's not having to do it all with his arm. But, kind of interesting with Caden Salter this year.
Yeah, and that was my buddy Bryce Grant. I'm going to get him on here in a couple weeks when we dive into Liberty and their conference. But that's one of the things he was saying. He was saying, how electric, how explosive they were last year. This year, for some reason, they've kind of gone away from it. And I was sitting here looking at his standings. I'm like, 3-0, 4-0. What are you complaining about? But to your point, the way they're doing it it just seems a little different. You had a number of guys that went, maybe to the league or graduated or whatever. So you got some younger guys coming in, but Liberty, again, it doesn't matter how you get it done. As long as you get it done in overtime, they put that victory on Tuesday night. And I think the bigger thing here, Alex, is that it was Tuesday night and there was football.
Yeah.
That's what was huge. That's what I care about.
Yeah, I am right there with you. It was one of those ones where I was at work and I was like, oh crap, there's football. And I was like trying to get the stream. Of course, it wouldn't work. I was just like, damn. Like,
right. It's like, oh my God. But move one more day. Then you got Wednesday night football. Jacksonville State gets another win. And Alex, this is another big win for them. We talked about them a week ago. And then now they're coming in playing New Mexico State, and they blew them out as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, they've had one game where they didn't score 30 or more?
Right.
This year? That's insane. It doesn't matter who you're playing. That is very impressive.
Right.
63 last week, 54 on Wednesday night there. It almost feels like it's kind of funny because them jumping from or up to the FBS level, the Div 1 level, they already kind of feel, I know they're 3-3, but kind of feel like a top tier team in that conference already.
Right.
So,
right.
And they're another team that just kind of does whatever they want. Like Tyler Huff didn't throw for a ton of yards, just under 200 yards, but was 11 of 16, was very efficient, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And then that run game for them, almost 7 yards a carry.
Yes.
49 carries, 334 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's just imposing your will.
Yep. To your point, over 300 on the ground, over 500 total yards. Look, they dominated these guys and they played big when they had to. And in the key category, the one that you want to be perfect on, they were goose egg on turnovers and got 3 turnovers off of New Mexico State. So this bodes well. It's good to see them doing well. You talked about them being 3-3, so they're hopefully trying to get in there and get a some kind of a bowl opportunity. But they got to win out. They got to win out, man. Let's go ahead and move on to the Thursday night games. In a game that I've been watching, because if there's any way North Carolina is gonna pull this thing, turn this thing around, and make it into the CFP somehow, because there's crazy chaos and everybody has 4 losses. We need JMU to do better and continue to dominate. They put up 50 or like 63 on Ball State last week after putting up 70 on my Tar Heels. And this week, not as bad, but still 39-7 over Coastal Carolina. Listen, some might say the competition isn't as great. Ball State, Coastal, maybe not, Power 5. North Carolina, we still put up 50 in that ball game. You know what I mean? So we're a solid team. These guys just keep winning week after week. I mean, Alex, why shouldn't we look at these guys in the same way we look at it, Georgia? I mean, I know they just came up, but the way they're playing, who's going to beat them?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Who did beat them this year? That's the thing. They're 5-1. Who did they lose to? Oh, I mean, we're talking about them like a powerhouse. Last week, they lost to UL Monroe.
Oh, well.
So
take all that stuff I said back. They're powerhouse because they beat us. All right, that's why they're
powerhouse. Yeah, but I mean, this offense again, another one that's efficient. They're not like Alonzo Barnett isn't throwing the ball 50, 60 times a game, still getting 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. This running game, another one that's over 5 yards a carry. Only 1 touchdown on the ground last night, but most of the scoring came through the passing game. They don't turn the ball over, really. They had 1 fumble last night, but no interceptions. So they win the turnover battle. They can do what they need to offensively. And they play that ultimate like complementary football.
Yep.
Defense was getting turnovers, offense isn't turning the ball over, scoring the points, not leaving the defense in bad position. And you do that against anybody, you're set up for success.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's something that I honestly think that can help them down the line and keep them going. I'm excited to see, if they can finish this along, like keep this thing going. I did not know that they lost that UL Monroe game, and that definitely changed.
I didn't either.
But all the while, it's all good because of the fact I can't make sense. Whatever, man.
I can't wait to see how you try to spin this on.
Yeah, I was like, I can't. I'm not even gonna try anymore. Shout out to them. They are 5-1, and getting this dub. Let's move on to the Louisiana Tech game. They beat Middle Tennessee 48-21. And listen, Alex, another one that I did not catch, but I love seeing Louisiana Tech doing big things against, unfortunately, struggling Middle Tennessee State team.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those ones where you've seen a bunch of pieces leave over the past few years, whether it's NFL, whether it's coaches moving on, and Louisiana Tech kind of struggled because of that. But nice to see them get their second win of the year. These were both 1-win teams going into that game on Thursday. And you want to talk about lighting up the scoreboard. Evan Bullock, the quarterback for Louisiana Tech, 18-25, 290 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks.
Yes.
Wonderful performance by that passing offense. Still ran for over 5 yards a carry, 224 yards on 4 carries. Only had the 1 touchdown because they all came through the air. But yeah, great performance offensively by Louisiana Tech.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You talk about Evan Bullock. I mean, the guy's a freshman, coming out here and being able to dominate like he was, and having the game that he had. That's definitely bodes well for them. Look, this was an impressive performance, and it was done by that powerful offense, and you were able to see, how they were able to do. I mean, they outrushed Middle Tennessee State 224-60. Okay, so obviously the defense was balling. They had over 500 yards in the air, and they won the time of possession battle. So Louisiana Tech, I mean, won this thing in every facet, and it's good to see them playing good ball. Now they are up to 2-3. So let's see if they can continue it down the line. But look, one more game happened on Thursday night. Western Kentucky, a team that we've talked about as somebody that could be pretty dominant in that conference, they get the W over UTEP and do it convincingly. And I don't think I expected anything less. UTEP has been struggling this year, and Western Kentucky has been kind of flying kind of high. So this was something to be expected. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team stats, and it doesn't show that big of a blowout. I mean, 20-18 in first downs for Western Kentucky, 482 total yards to 330. So, I mean, a decent gap there, but nothing crazy. They each had a turnover. Time of possession, UTEP actually won the time of possession 30 minutes, 23 seconds to 29 minutes and 37 seconds. So everything there kind of shows a relatively close game. The only difference was Western Kentucky's putting it in the end zone. I mean, you look at it, Caden Veltkamp looks like, again, another really good Western Kentucky quarterback. You had Austin Reed, you had Bailey Zappi, and Veltkamp looks like he's falling right in line with that. 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Another kind of the common theme here with these dominant teams, over 5 yards a carry, 218 yards, 42 carries, and the 2 touchdowns. And I mean, you look at the defense as well, 3 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. They were imposing their will up front too. So big win. If you want to see a close game, look at the team stats. Because that's where it.
No, absolutely. And this was great for Western Kentucky, trying to keep pace in the Conference USA. Obviously, Liberty, who we just talked about, is 3-0 in conference, undefeated overall. And then you have Sam Houston State, who's 2-0 in the conference, same as Jacksonville State and Western Kentucky. So they needed to keep pace going down the line. But then you look at kind of the rest of the schedule. They got Sam Houston State next, which is a huge matchup. The winner of that one could definitely prop themselves up into that title matchup going forward, because after that, Western Kentucky has Kennesaw State, New Mexico State, Louisiana Tech, who's doing pretty solid, but then later on down the line, then they finish off with Liberty and Western Kentucky. So it's all right there in front of Western Kentucky if they can continue to get it done. But this is definitely a good win, something they should have done. But to your point, if you look at the stats, if you look at things on paper, it doesn't look that much different. So we'll see how that goes following when it's tougher competition.
Yeah.
Going damn. All right. So, let's keep on moving. We got to the Friday night games. You and I discussed this before. Upset alert. Utah falls to Arizona State. Are you serious? 27-19. You talked about the aftermath when the coach, was moshing with the crowd that, rushed the field. Wow. I mean, we knew Arizona State could play, but I don't know that I expected Utah to lose like this.
No, not at all. And I mean, this just kind of shows how wide open that Big 12 really is this year. Because, I mean, you look at Arizona State's now 5-1.
Yeah.
Utah's 4-2. I think the most surprising thing was Cam Rising played last night. He's been in and out of the lineup. He did not play well. 16-37, 209 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That Arizona State defense came to play. 4 yards a carry for them. Micah Bernard really was the main reason they were still in that game. 21 carries, 129 yards, and a touchdown. But Arizona State, man, they're
doing it.
Yeah, Cam Scatabo, the running back there,
that's
carried
the
them through that
nation's
game.
best kept secret right there. Cam Scatabo at running back, like you said, over 150 yards. Nobody knows about him because Arizona State's not one of these teams that is on the national radar. But after getting a win like this, Alex, people need to start talking about this run game and kind of what Arizona State's doing.
Absolutely, because I didn't even realize they were 5-1.
Me neither.
And I mean, that should throw them right up at the top of the conference. You got Texas Tech undefeated, BYU undefeated, Iowa State undefeated, Colorado undefeated, West Virginia undefeated. Then you got Kansas State, Arizona State, Arizona, Cincinnati, and UCF all with one loss in conference. So there's that's 8-9 teams that are right there realistically still in the mix, the conference race. Even realistically, Houston, Utah, TCU with those 2 losses, the chaos that's happening in that conference, that's wide open.
Oh yeah, it gives new meaning to any given Saturday. And listen, for all the success, it doesn't get any easier. They got Cincinnati, they got Oklahoma State, they got UCF, Kansas State, BYU, and then finish off with Arizona. Look, you got to be nearly perfect to finish this out, but this is a big win for them. And I think the bigger question is, what does this mean for Utah?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one because I think they fall out of the rankings altogether. I think they're not in the top 25 anymore. But that's a tough one because I think the consensus is just kind of like, well, Cam Rising will get healthy, and they'll be fine.
Right.
He was not fine last night. No. I don't know what this does for Utah, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. And that's up in the air, man. And we know their team can play. We know they have a solid defense, but this was a bad loss for them. Not something that they needed. Hey, look, best of luck. We'll see what happens down the line, but it's not rough. In fact, it's not been great for the state of Utah. Utah State also gets the loss. UNLV in the post Matthew Sluka era are 2-0, getting another victory and again putting 50 up on the board. Alex, we talk about best kept secrets. UNLV, they still balling, man. Not one player, 2 players removed. Nothing changes. Continue to clockwork.
To be your quarterback, your starting quarterback, and your top running back that left.
Yeah.
And your backup quarterback, goes 13-20 for 233 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jeez. And that freaking running game, 7 yards per carry.
Come on now.
And 3 touchdowns. Yeah. On 45 freaking carries. Just phenomenal what that offense is doing. Ricky White, the main bell cow as far as receivers go. Oh yeah, the overtime loss in a phenomenal game. That was another really good one. I wonder what it's going to take to stop UNLV. Obviously, Syracuse putting up 44 points or whatever it was, matching, going toe to toe. I think that's what it's going to take. Is the offense just being able to match? Friggin', I keep getting more and more excited for that UNLV Boise State game in a couple weeks here. That is going to be a massive game. And really, when you look at the playoffs, one of the more important games in college football in general, as far as the playoff goes.
Exactly. And I love that we're putting a closer eye to the Mountain West and to these type of games. There is a lot more attention. I posted something up today or yesterday about Austin Genty and them, they're talking to him saying, hey, there's been a number of places offered you a lot of money to come play for them. Why did you stay at Boise State? And he says, because what does that say about me if I leave what we've built here? We built this together. And yeah, money is nice, but that legacy, that's something that will never be forgotten. And that's why you're starting to see these other schools really kind of make their name, like the power traditions and things have. And I'm excited to see that. And I want to see that game for me is circled on my calendar, man. I'm ready for it.
2 weeks away.
Absolutely. I'm ready. And we're going to talk about the Mountain West that week. So when we preview that game, but yeah, this was a big one. Shout out to UNLV for getting the dub. But look, long overdue. Appreciate him for sticking with us. We gotta talk about this one. And no, it was not 50. It was
37.
37. Sorry about that, Nate. I don't know where that 50 burger came in there, but no, definitely 37 to 10. And this surprised me. I know you got a closer eye on the Big Ten. Northwestern was 2-3 coming into this game. I thought Maryland was favored; they could get it done. Unfortunately, they didn't. Were not able to do that. I'm gonna bring Nate in here, but Alex, what do you make of this?
I think plain and simple, the name of the game last night was turnovers. This was Maryland had 3 and Northwestern took full advantage of it. And it wasn't like Northwestern stats really exploded. They had 200 yards passing, no touchdowns passing. They had the 3 rushing touchdowns on 80 yards. It was a 2.4 yards per carry. So that's how you can tell it was the turnover. It was Northwestern's offense being put in great positions, and they capitalized on it last night. That was the main difference in this game. Yeah. And look, Nate, welcome to the show. Look, you guys have been doing well. You guys have been in every game and actually playing well all year. But, after this loss, you were talking to me. There's some people that have been, calling for the coach's head, the AD, for real? I mean, this is just a bad game, right?
Well, they're extremists. And they're not the only program. They're not the only program on College Park that they attack. They've done it with the men's basketball team. They did it with the women's basketball team.
Oh my goodness!
It's nothing new. Listen, Maryland has won 3 straight bowl games. Okay. Before that, this program, last couple years before like Mike came here, was trash. It was dysfunctional. Yeah. It was toxic. You had a football player, Jordan McNair, he rest in peace, die on the field. Randy Edsall was an okay coach, but didn't do anything. This season, there were growing pains that were to be expected. It's practically a whole young team, and also mixed with transfers. So, and especially, I think we were so spoiled by Talia Tagovailoa, his play. I think no one saw this coming. I knew coming into the season there's going to be struggles. Our secondary is entirely made up is practically freshmen. Okay, your offensive line is practically new. There was 8 players yesterday that didn't play because of injury. So I have to really look at the game with a fresh pair of eyes, because what I've heard and what I've seen, I need to see with a fresh pair of eyes. And especially, I think, again, was that embarrassing? Yes. But to say that's the most embarrassing loss in program history under his watch, sure. I mean, you could say it's embarrassing. I mean, then I found out that
most embarrassing.
Exactly. But then I found out that he was doing most of the offensive play calling. That's what you have Gaddis there for. So I know what that's about. They just, from what I saw and seen, I don't think they really were prepared. But this is expected when you have a young team. Next year, they're bringing in Malik Washington. There's going to be growing pains there. So it's 6 games to the season to call for his job, and especially what he's done. Who are you replacing him with? That's a $1 million question. Because if you bring a guy in who does total opposite, what are you saying then? Oh, we shouldn't have fired Mike. It's ridiculous. Listen, we're not Alabama, we're not Georgia, we're not Michigan or Ohio State. We're in the middle of the pack. I mean, we in these last 3 years, like they're building blocks. I think what can be a successful program. But I mean, you can't have bad games like that, like you did last night. I will say that. I mean, sure, but I mean, they don't get this. I mean, people don't come out and support the team where they should. I mean, it's like that with the entire programs. Period. So it's like you can't say you're calling for the man's job, but then if you look, not a lot of people turned out and supported. From my eyes, what I saw. So I think to ask for.
They would. Championship team, baby. But Nathan, look, you guys have. I mean, you talk about building blocks, and a lot of us are wondering, all right, after Talia, what are y'all going to do at quarterback? Billy Edwards almost had 300 yards in this game, and obviously it might have been some catch-up yards or whatever, but even Ty Felton, who's and he's getting up there in the category as one of these elite receivers. He even had 9 receptions for 77 yards. There's a lot of stuff that you can build on. I mean, I honestly think you could just scratch this up for. You already talked about all the off-field things and the injuries. This is just one of those games. You know what I mean? You just wipe this away and move on. You know what I mean?
It happens. I mean, and then also too, like some of the things, the penalties. The other things. That's coaching, but that's also on the players too. Like, Mike's not out there on the field. If a player's doing the same thing over and over and over again, that's not coaching. That's on you as a player.
Yeah.
So I think it's just there just has to be discipline. I think there has to be accountability. I think Mike knows that. But also but the players get held accountable too. So it's like, I mean, they're getting checks now. Last time I checked, so it was a bad loss, sore. But like I said, I'm looking back at the tape because I'm a firm believer. I learned this from Mike Tebow, a retired basketball coach. Is really never let your emotions get the best of you, especially after a game. Take all the good, take all the bad, all the ugly. Look back at the game. When you're looking at tape with a fresh pair of eyes, what went wrong? What went right? What could have been better? Because I just saw last week a Power 5 football team lose to a school that most people should have blew them out the water. They're calling for that man's job? No. So
it's true. It's true. Well, now there are some extreme fans that are definitely calling for his job, but they always call for his job on anything that happens. That's just them. We don't acknowledge them. We just keep moving. My guy, Nathan Snell, we appreciate you hopping on here, joining us, talking a little Maryland football. Hopefully next time we'll get you on here. It'll be under better circumstances, but we appreciate you being available, my guy.
Thank you. Maryland will be fine. It's still early in the season. We still got 5 weeks left, fellas.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's a really tough schedule.
yeah. Six.
It's a good time to get your growing pains in, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I see some upsets down the line, man. I see some upsets coming up. We're gonna see what's up.
We'll be in a bowl game. I'm not worried.
I can dig it. I can dig it. No, the way we're playing, we might see y'all in a 6-win bowl game. All right. If we're doing that in Maryland, North Carolina, man, we're going, man. Let's get it.
Love it.
All right, man. Talk to you soon, bud.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Yeah, buddy, man. So shout out to him. And to your point, I mean, USC next week, then they go to Minnesota, go to Oregon, Rutgers comes in, Iowa comes in, and they finish off at Penn State. Look, I'm not going to say it to my man because it's my buddy, but it might be a rough season, buddy. It might be a rough season. I'm looking at it right now. I don't know if I see 3 wins.
There's a couple in there that I could see really go either way. Just based on who's home, who's away. But to me, I think this is a great development year, like he was saying, for them. Yes. You've got a lot of young guys. It's a great way for them to take their lumps, kind of get built up and get ready for the next couple of years here. So, yeah, I think it's kind of right around where we should have expected. I don't think anyone expected Northwestern to beat them, but
at all.
I thought 4-2 at this point realistically. But yeah, we'll see how it shakes out for them the rest of the way.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got to remember they had that close game against Michigan State, so that goes either way, and then they are potentially 4-2. So we'll see what happens down the way.